Hi, my name is Michelle DeLong. Today I'm going to explain the importance of the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendments in the criminal process. Ensuring that laws are upheld and criminals stay behind bars have to be the basis for any law enforcement officer. Understanding the amendments and following these amendments help keep criminals behind bars. As we get into the importance of these, please listen carefully and take in the information I will give to you. The case that comes to mind is when I was a patrol officer with the Indianapolis Police Department. The case that started off as a speeding violation turned quickly to a child abuse case. As I approached the car and saw the child in the back seat with a broken arm and a fresh bruise on his face that looked a lot like a full handprint on the child's cheek. When a child is involved, following the rules to the letter is highly important. The chance of making a mistake and the child ending up back in his parent with his parent is not acceptable. First off, I needed to assess the situation. Look for any chance of the subject having a weapon that they could use when they notice that I am going to question the circumstance on his son's injuries. Finding this child this way gives me probable cause to arrest and question this man. The Fourth Amendment protects the public from illegal search and seizures. A person has a right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supporting by oath and affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched, and the person or things to be seized. By having the child's injuries documented, will secure the arrest was warranted and that the subject's Fourth Amendment was not violated. After the arrest, the district attorney took the case before the grand jury for an indictment on the child abuse charge. With the evidence of the child's injuries and the testimony of the child, doctors, child welfare, and the DA was able to bring an indictment. With the indictment by the grand jury, the Fifth Amendment was protected and a legal trial was going to begin in a timely manner. Another piece of the Fifth Amendment is that if during the trial this man would have been found not guilty, double jeopardy would come into play, which means that he would not be put through another trial over the same charge. Also, he is protected from having to incriminate himself, which is why in a lot of court shows you see people pleading the Fifth. As the trial began, the Sixth Amendment protects the defendant by ensuring a speedy trial with an impartial jury. The strength of the DA's case is depending on all the evidence that was collected to prove guilt. The other suspect aspect of the Sixth Amendment is the right of counsel will be provided if the defendant is not financially able to provide for themselves. In this case, the defendant was able to hire himself a decent defense lawyer who planned to prove that the child had never been abused and that the injuries were explainable. The DA provided expert witnesses who showed the injuries were not caused by accidental falling like the defense was trying to show. Having to subject a small child to testifying against his own father was heartbreaking, but was necessary to prove guilt and protect this child from future abuse. The guardian ad litem of the child requested that the child testify in a separate room by a televised two-way closed-circuit television. This ensures the child would not be subjected to extreme emotional distress by having to testify in front of his own parent. The defense attorney would be able to question the child, but without the accused in the room. The trauma is still there, but hopefully it will be less damaging to the young child. With the child's testimony and the physical evidence provided to the jury was able to come back with a guilty verdict. All of our hard work had paid off and the bad guy was going to jail. The child would be safe from the violence he had endured most of his young life. As the case went to the sentencing phase, the Eighth Amendment comes into play. This amendment protects against cruel and unusual punishment. This protects our society from having barbaric treatment in our prisons. Although the criminal might not deserve equal protection, the law states that he must be protected from violence at the hands of the judicial system. Sometimes when a child is involved, and the chance of having heated altercations with the subject is high. But the Eighth Amendment, law enforcement must treat the criminal in a humane way. When the sentencing part was over, the defendant was given 10 years of prison. Sadly, the child will be only 16 when his father is released from jail, or even earlier if released on good behavior. These amendments are very critical in our judicial process. If we screw up in any way and violate any of these amendments, the defendant would have a better chance of getting off or appealing his case and not going to jail. Making sure we are well read on the laws we live by will help us keep criminals behind bars where they belong. Creating a safer community and more trusting residents that will trust the police that patrol their streets. With all the controversy that law enforcement is under these days, having the public's trust is extremely important. Controlling our officers and holding them responsible for mistakes that they could have prevented by understanding the process of controlling the scene and making sure the Constitution is not violated builds a stronger police force and community relationship. The ultimate goal is to provide safety for the community we live in. If we have respect of the people that live in our community, the less crime we will see. Showing strength and understanding builds a relationship that will only create the environment that any officer wants to keep the public safe and themselves safe and make a home to their families at the end of their shift. That is the ultimate goal, to make it home safe each day. Thank you.